Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health, well, it's heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and where we do encourage you to call in to join in today in anticipation, I'm sure, of how we left it off a week ago. Our good friend, Dr. Pieter DeWet from down there in Texas, spent what we'll call part 2 a week ago with us, talking about his famous book now, Heal Thyself, Transform Your Life, Transform Your Health. He says, disease is a blessing, and you can beat all disease. Now, we've been talking about all the fodder that really leads to disease, the conflicts, he says, that must be dealt with in order to help prevent disease. But today, the C word, we're going to be talking about his look at the cures for disease based on an 18-step program that he outlines in his now famous book entitled Heal Thyself. Dr. Pieter DeWet, our featured guest today in part 3 of the trilogy. I hope you hang in there with us. Today is the show that packs the wallop and packs the punch, because it truly is how you can prevent and or correct any disease that happens to come your way. Pieter DeWet with us right after our first break. Of course, as always, if you have a question or a comment and you'd like to ask Dr. DeWet about his particular work, you can use the phone number 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262 to knock on the door, and I'll let you in the store as soon as it is feasible for you to get that question out. Dr. Pieter DeWet with us today. Now, the rest of the calendar shaping up. On Friday, we finally are going to open one up for you. We're going to have a get them up out of town version of the show where we do allow you to come on in and set the agenda. You should be ready to burst at the seams. So much time has passed since we've allowed you to just call in and set that agenda. A number of weeks have gone by. We'll do that on Friday. Then on Monday, Mr. Oxygen is going to be with us. He's been with us before. You've heard him on many shows, I'm sure. Ed McCabe is his real God-given name. He goes by Mr. Oxygen. He's going to be talking about oxygen therapies, a new way of approaching disease. That's our Monday show. Now, January is filling up pretty good because, well, just yesterday, as a matter of fact, the PR folks for Cass Ingham, a real staple item here in our show, Cass Ingham is going to be coming aboard with us right as soon as we get back in the new year. He's going to be with us on January 3rd. And I talked to his PR people. I said, look, he's always coming out of the woods, and he's got chagra, and he's got the oregano issue down. I know he's excited about it, but you have got to tell him that we want to talk about one of his previous books. I'm looking at the book right now. It's a very nice compendium, Natural Cures for High Blood Pressure. I was promised by the publicist or the PR group that represents him that they were going to pass it along, and so I'm pretty sure that finally we're going to have a full program discussion of how he views hypertension and his specific treatments. In the book, he outlines some specific steps to take, and he's never really mentioned them before. I promise to make them go on point when we have him with us in January, first day back after the Christmas break. On the 6th, Dr. Susan Smith-Jones will be with us, talking about 7 stress busters. On the 12th, Epicor, the talk about Epicor will resume with Stuart Reeves, the guy who was there, if you can remember, when literally Epicor, Diamond V was the company. Epicor was founded because of what was learned about the ingredients in an animal food. And the rest is history. He supported what we learned as the story, however, as absolutely correct. Roland Thomas on the 17th talking about bioengineered algae. And the byline here is soon to be our most powerful food in medicine. And then, for those of you that can recall, talking about ionic minerals. Now, we have a famous listener out there. Let me see my little... oh, yes, here it is. Yes, Mr. McWilliams from up there in Indiana, who had some interesting response to ionic minerals. He called up. I've now followed up with the company, just spoke yesterday, as a matter of fact, to Dr. Darren Starkey. He's going to be our featured guest on December 19th when we launch our relationship with the company called Trace Mineral Research, and the discussion of minerals is going to take the forefront at that point. It'll be an ongoing relationship. Nonetheless, it has its start, it has its beginning, rudimentary as it may be, all the way up in January the 19th. I know you'll be looking forward to that. And then, of course, as time moves on, we'll be filling in other gaps that appear in the schedule. That's the way I see it as it is time. Timeless things, number one, Old Bus products. Yes, it's pretty cold out there. It may be the sniffle season for you. If you need any of the Old Bus products, of course, you can get them right here at the office. If you want to handle it on your own, we worked out a way with the company to do just that and to get all the freebies and all the goodies that they can put together for you. You can call the number, the 800 number, 1-800-523-9971. That's 800-523-9971. When somebody answers, let them know that you're one of our listeners and that you want the code DC, Dr. C, Dr. Courtney, to be used. They'll key it in and it'll allow you to be able to get some freebies that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to get. They couldn't really tell me what they may be because it may change at all times, but there's an extra special way then for you to plug yourself right in and sort of be recognized for one of our listeners and set apart from somebody else. So Olbus, 1-800-523-9971 with all their great products. That tea, by the way, is unheralded. There is no substitute for that. Fruit of the Spirit, you are hearing the spots when we cut the commercial each and every time we do. You're hearing about this Christmas packaging that you can send and have delivered for Christmas, a gift, you might say, from Fruit of the Spirit, whereby they take the $29 bottle of Fruit of the Spirit and they package it with a measuring glass and the book written by Deborah Ray and Dr. Young and Dr. Reyes, as well as a booklet on the actual product itself, all for the same $29. They'll make sure that gets to whoever you want to pass the gift of health on to in this Yuletide season. Standard process. Hey, we enjoyed our show with Brian Foltz. He is available, and if you are interested, that nutritional exam, which I can tell you is not all that lengthy, can reveal a lot of things about you. We're going to be bringing him to the office. Give us a call if you would like to be on the list to be included in those encounters with Brian Foltz. And our number here, of course, is 724-942-3002. And that's just about the way I see it. Nothing more really to add. Why don't we do this, folks? Don't really know whether I'm contacting Dr. DeWet or he's contacting us. We'll work it out in the next few minutes, and hopefully we'll have him with us for part 3, Heal Thyself, Transform Your Life, Transform Your Health. You have to keep in mind, disease, well, it's a blessing. Tough words, but actually have been proven a number of times now. Pieter DeWet, be right back with him. That's all.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
This Christmas season, give your friends and loved ones the gift of health with a very special gift from Fruit of the Spirit. Fruit of the Spirit combines 14 whole fruits with energizing minerals to give you great tasting, antioxidant-rich liquid nutrition with more health benefits than any other products of its kind. Take advantage of a special offer this Christmas. We will send a beautiful gift pack with a bottle of Fruit of the Spirit, portion glass, book, and brochure to each name on your shopping list for just $29. That's a bottle of Fruit of the Spirit, portion glass, book, and brochure to each name on your shopping list for just $29.
Fruit of the Spirit gift pack is a $57 value. This Christmas season it's yours for just $29, shipping and handling not included. Call 1-800-793-8714 with your shopping list, and Fruit of the Spirit will take care of the rest. Call now. That's 1-800-793-8714.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on this Wednesday version of the show, and now, well known to you, our guest today has brought a very powerful message to you. His book entitled Heal Thyself, Transform Your Life, Transform Your Health has been the tome that we've used as our primer as we've guided ourselves through up to the third show on this book, because the concepts here are so doggone powerful that they just need more than a cursory look by us. And Dr. DeWet has consented to come aboard with us now, for the third time, to talk about his book. We've taken each section sort of in kind. Today we get to the final segment, which could be called the C word, how to actually cure disease. Now, our guest today is South African by origination, but nonetheless medical doctor practicing in Texas, and has developed an approach to literally beating disease. He says all disease can be beaten. His name is Dr. Pieter DeWet. He's with us once again. Let's say good morning and welcome back, Dr. DeWet.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Wonderful to be back. Also privilege to be able to share the airways for the third time in as many weeks.
Yes, we are clipping along with this now. Dr. DeWet, as I usually try to do, because sometimes folks that are coming aboard just for the first time today get caught off guard because they go, oh, I'm walking in the middle of a conversation. In each of the two shows, I started off with a quote that just continues to resonate with me over and over again. It's a quote out of the introduction to your book. It does set the stage for really what's going on here with the tome. It's a quote from Dr. Claude Sabat. You had mentioned him on the first show we ever had. But the quote goes something like this. You say, disease is the brain's best solution to keep the person alive as long as possible. Therefore, you say, disease is a survival program. Now, we should add a second quote from Dr. Sabat that we really haven't used before, but in conjunction with what our goals and objectives are today, the quote goes like this. To heal from any illness, it is necessary and sufficient to remove the source of conflict within oneself. And I'm guessing that we're going to be into these issues of resolving conflicts today. Could you bring us up to speed on the conceptualization of healing your own self, healing thyself, that you have written in your tome by the same name?
Yeah, in my book there's a chapter called The 5 L's of Healing. And it also suggests a primary focus here, which is that in order to heal it, you have to treat the disease at the level of entry. In other words, you have to treat the root of the health problem, not the surface. It's a little bit, the best analogy I can give is a gardening analogy. For those listeners out there that have ever tried to garden, they know what it takes to get rid of weeds in the garden. Oftentimes people enter around the garden and they see a weed and they'll pull some leaves just to find that the weed comes back even stronger a few days later because they didn't get rid of the root. Now if you get rid of half of the root, the weed will still come back, and it will come back stronger every time until you get that entire root. And the same concept applies to disease. In order to cure a disease, we have to treat it completely. And in prevention, we are almost exclusively focused on the surface, which is the physical body. So in conventional medicine, we think everything is either genetic or lifestyle or toxicity, environmental toxicity, so forth. That's where we're focused almost exclusively. Even in alternative medicine, we make a practice of focusing on the physical body of vitamins, minerals, and herbs instead of medication. So, yet, there's different levels like energy, or the mental body that we are going to be touching on a little bit more today, and then also what we call the intuitive body, and then finally the spirit. So, in talking about spirit today, you'll notice that we are going to be talking about all three domains. So it's not that we're negating the physical body. You certainly do want to do something, for the body itself as well. Because it's the catcher. If we don't work on the physical body, if we don't get energy going, if we don't get the body detoxed and so forth, then very often people don't have the energy for the traction to work on the higher levels. So it's a moot point that when we want to get to the root, that the person that you're working with has no interest or no passion to go there, if you know what I mean.
All right, I'm gonna interject something here. For some reason, our connection today is very poor. You're coming through very staticky, and so what I want to do, because I want the listeners not to get frustrated, because I can understand their frustration. They're trying to appreciate what you're saying, and they can't really get a full sentence. You're blocking yourself out. So we're going to take a short break, everybody. We'll come back in the next minute or two when we get this resolved. Pete, you just hang on the line. We're going to find out how we're going to resolve that. But let's just take a short break and come back so that we don't have these interruptions. We lose complete parts of sentences, Pete, from right now. So hang on. I promise, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back as soon as we resolve it. Hang loose for the cure today on Healing Thyself.
Your friends and loved ones the gift of health with a very special gift from Fruit of the Spirit. Fruit of the Spirit combines 14 whole fruits with energizing minerals to give you great tasting, antioxidant-rich liquid nutrition with more health benefits than any other product of its kind. Take advantage of a special offer this Christmas. We will send a beautiful gift pack with a bottle of Fruit of the Spirit, portion glass, book, and brochure to each name on your shopping list for just $29. That's a bottle of Fruit of the Spirit, portion glass, book, and brochure to each name on your shopping list for just $29.
Fruit of Spirit gift pack is a $57 value. This Christmas season, it's yours for just $29, shipping and handling not included. Call 1-800-793-8714 with your shopping list, and Fruit of Spirit will take care of the rest. Call now. That's 1-800-793-8714.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I think we have our problems resolved. With the connection, we're there with Dr. DeWet today, Dr. Pieter DeWet, talking about his book entitled Heal Thyself, Transform Your Life, Transform Your Health. We were having a glitch in the telephone line, so we're coming on another line. Dr. DeWet, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
And you are loud and clear now without the static in the background. Thank you so much, and I'm glad we took the moment because really your message is so powerful. It was being obliterated by the atmosphere. Okay, we're back now. Talking about these conflicts, which, when you, your basic premise is that you can beat all disease. And take that quote, which is literally coming from you, and allow our listeners to appreciate how it is that they can beat it. And I think then that's the great lead-in for what in your book is described as the 18 points to cure all disease. How is it that conceptually you can beat all disease from your perspective? And then we'll get to those 18 specific points in rapid succession.
Okay, so going back again to the concept of the 5 levels of healing. The idea in that section is that in order to heal a disease, we have to treat it at the level of entry. And just before the break, I used the analogy of gardening. A lot of people out there, if not most, have tried their hand in a little bit of a gardening here and there, and know what it takes to get rid of weeds. And it certainly doesn't work when you just pull off the surface leaves. You have to get that root, and you have to get in the entire root. Otherwise, those weeds keep on coming back stronger and stronger. And that's just exactly the way that disease is, including a disease like cancer. Think about it. So in the 5 levels of healing, we learn that, yes, we need to work on the physical body, because the physical body is where we create the energy for other work. But work just on the physical body, unfortunately, is not going to cure hardly anything. It'll contain a disease. It'll, we can manage the symptoms at that level, but it's not going to cure the disease. In order to cure the disease, we have to go a little bit deeper. So in that section, called The Cure, which is the 3rd part of my book, we go through a couple of initial chapters before we go into the Cure section. And, one of the first things we have to focus on is a shift in consciousness. In other words, we need to learn to look at things differently, including disease. And you mentioned right in the beginning of today's program again, Dennis, that disease is the brain's best solution to keep the person alive as long as possible. Therefore, disease is a survival program. What is also contained in that quote is a central theme that comes up throughout my book, and that is the concept or the idea that instead of seeing disease as a curse, we're actually able to reframe disease as a blessing. In other words, disease literally is a survival program. It allows us to continue on over the short term. Whenever a conflict is so overwhelming that it threatens to blow out circuitry in the brain, that's downwards to the body. So in that 3rd part 3, The second chapter in part 3 is called Healing Through Recall. So, the central concept of that particular chapter is that in order to heal a disease, we need to be able to figure out what the conflict program is that is coding for or programming for that disease. That is absolutely critical because when we do that, we realize, through our consciousness what the purpose is of that disease and exactly what it is processing, what it is part of. So then the section that you mentioned earlier is the basic steps towards optimal health, and that's where we find the 18
That's right.
steps.
There's 18 steps. Before we get there, one other thing, I'm a dutiful student. I've been learning right along. You've been teaching me rather well. This thing about the brain's ability to take the rudimentary beginnings of a disease and shift it to a place. In other words, that if you'll introduce that concept once again, please, where you end up taking, if you're talking about cancer, you could say breast cancer is the brain's attempt to shunt all of these negative issues to one place in the body. Do I have that right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's take again an example. Say, for instance, Dennis, you were walking across the street, a busy street in Pittsburgh, where you are located, and there's a bus coming, and that bus is about to hit you. If you're in the middle of that street, your brain will instantly, in a fraction of a second, make a key decision, and it will react on that decision, and so you'll either jump to the right or you will jump to the left, but you will get out of the way of that oncoming bus unless you have a little bit of a suicidal ideation going on. So, and that's how the brain keeps us alive. Every second of every day, the brain is making instant decisions for survival. When you are overwhelmed with stress, for example, in your life, if someone loses a dearly beloved, a woman, for instance, loses a child. I used the example, I think last time, of breast cancer, conflict of the nest. Mother nearly loses her son, and then a few years later, she almost loses her daughter. The son being in a car accident, and she's between life and death for 14 days, and then the daughter running away from home at 19 because she's pissed off at mom and doesn't want to talk to mom, doesn't want to see mom, and then comes back. And those two huge conflicts creates for that woman what's called a nesting conflict, and the breast then recreates that conflict by creating a super program in what's called conventional medicine, breast cancer. So that's how the brain operates. When the brain is threatened with overwhelm, when it it will instantly download to itself, to a smaller part of itself. So what threatens 100% of the brain will be downloaded to 1% of the brain, and it is always congruent with the exact conflict program that is threatening the person. So if it's a conflict of the nest, it'll go to a certain part in the what we call the cerebellum of the part of the brain, and then we'll download to the breast itself. And even which side of the breast, which breast it downloads to, it's relevant in this entire story. A woman, if it's a child of a woman that is threatened, it will usually go to the non-dominant breast, like for instance the left side. If it's another nesting drama, like a woman who is nurturing her husband or her parents, it might go to the right breast in a right-handed woman, which is the dominant breast. So it is absolutely fascinating that every part of the body, every part of the skin, every part of the breast, every part of the entire body, is in contact with the part of the brain that controls that part and will take the download, when the brain is threatened with overwhelm.
Now thank you for that, because that really clearly points out why it is that you say that all disease can be beaten, and the preliminary issues of you talking about roots literally shows how helpless we as doctors are if we only deal with that physical body, which is what we're trained to do, and use our drugs and use all these powerful tools, but really they're directed to the body component and not the brain and the mental and the conflict component. And I'm going to gather what you've taught me and say, without that other component, without that resolving of conflicts and dealing with that aspect of this, you can't ever win in a disease, because it will always remain behind, and you only get the partial results, the minuscule responses and the like. Fair enough said, Doctor?
Yeah, and also when you deal with the wrong level, a disease becomes circuitous. In other words, it keeps coming back at you. And we all know this very well in conventional medicine, because when that patient comes in with diabetes or hypertension or coronary artery disease, you know, we keep on having to treat the same problem over and over again. We never seem to be able to resolve it. You know, so you can get control of the blood pressure today with good blood pressure medication, but tomorrow that patient is back. The moment they stop taking the blood pressure medication, it's back stronger. And what usually happens, as we know, is we keep having to add more and more drugs to control the same problem. We didn't get to the root.
Not to those roots.
Yeah.
All right, now I think we're ready, Doc. I love to plow through. You have 18 points, which you refer to as your basic steps toward optimal health. I believe it's your plan and envisioned by you. These are the steps that one has to take in order to beat any disease. And as I see here, you devote a number of these 18 to the body itself. You're so entrenched in it. You are a medical doctor. You can't ignore it. You just can't work on the mental and not on the body. So could we take, and in very rapid succession, start moving down through this, because you have some different perspectives on each of these categories. We think we're so enlightened here on this radio show and on this station, thinking about how we have to cater to environmental issues and things like that. But your take on most of these brings in a slightly different nuance. If I could, I'd like to just go right down through the list. Do you mind?
Sure, no problem at all.
Well, right off the bat, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, diet. The first thing, the first one of your basic steps is concentrating on the diet. And this is a rather lengthy portion of your book, multiple pages on different aspects of this diet. Describe why so important to you that it took many, many pages to accomplish it. And you have some unique ways of approaching diet that I think our listeners would like to hear about. Could you go through just a little bit of that with us?
Sure. You know, the idea with the chapter on nutrition is that, you know, there are no two people that are exactly the same. And, you know, oftentimes we pick up these books and, you know, it's either the self-speech diet or the Atkins diet or, you know, the cabbage diet or the grapefruit diet. You know, you name it. You know, everybody's got a diet out there that they claim will cure everything. Of course, they never do, and most people get frustrated on, you know, on these diets. Now, you know, certain people do very well on certain diets. For instance, if you're a type O and you're metabolic to what we call a protein type, then you'll do very well on Dr. Atkins' diet. You know, if you're a type A, you know, the zone diet would probably do very well because it's focused more on grains, starches, you know, carbohydrates, and a balance of protein in there and fat. So, so what I did in that chapter is I go through each aspect of diet that we need to know about. So if you take somebody out there that wants to know how to eat, they would need to know what their metabolic type is. You know, are they protein type, or are they a carbohydrate type, or are they a mixed type? You know, some people can eat 2 meals a day, proteins. You still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sorry. I just suddenly got a message here. So if you eat according to protein type, you're, you know, type O, for example, then you'll tend to have a lot of energy, even if you just eat 2 meals a day. But if you're a carb type, then you might have to eat 5 or 6 more meals a day in order to thrive. Now, then we go to blood type. For instance, if you are, you know, depending on which blood type you are, if you make certain food choices, you will do much, much better as one blood type than compared to another. And the biggest differences between, say, type O's and type A's, with type A's, B's, and B's somewhere in between. Type O's are the consummate protein eaters, the meat eaters of the world, like myself. And then type A's are the consummate vegetarians. They don't do very well when they eat a lot of meat. So then we go to food sensitivity. That's another key concept, because in this day and age, we are racked with food sensitivities all over the planet. With those microwave ovens that we use, and all the other gadgets that we use, we all have, or most of us have, leaky gut syndrome. In other words, increased gut permeability causes us to get sensitized to virtually any food that we eat on a regular basis. And there are certain food categories that are much more allergenic even than that. That includes, those foods that are genetically engineered, like, for instance, corn, soy, just to mention a couple. And then the other foods that are often very allergenic include, for instance, dairy and wheat. So then we go to the next concept in that chapter. We go quite extensively into increased gut permeability, and it's the critical importance of getting that under control. So we talk about food choices, better food choices, improving acid, alkaline balance chemicals in foods that we want to avoid. The microwaving issue that I just brought up, and avoiding high sugars and a high starch diet. Then we go to glycemic index of food. So that's Dr. Barry Shearer's concept that he came up with a few decades ago. And that's the idea that in order to be healthy, and especially in order to avoid all these insulin-resistant diseases like hypertension and high cholesterol and diabetes and so forth, and obesity, we need to adjust for our diet for glycemic index and stick to the lower glycemic index food choice. So when you take all of that into account, then anybody out there can design a healthy diet for themselves just by knowing some basic facts about themselves and getting to it.
Great approach.
And also lay out in that section, different, my version of what's called the Green Life Diet with phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, depending on what illnesses people are dealing with.
Certainly a reason unto itself to get the book. Extensive chapter, a different look at diet. It's not just picking healthy foods. That the kind of foods you pick has to do with so much of your physiological response to those foods. That my hat's off to you with a lengthy chapter, and you put it in the #1 spot, and I think rightly so. We move on now, because point 2 of your 18 points, you say alkalinize, another concept, a basic concept that we appreciate. Speak to that issue for a little bit, if you would, on alkalinization.
Yeah, there's some great authors and healers that have written about this subject extensively, like Dr. Robert Young. But alkalinizing is so critical to healing. So anybody that gets serious health challenge, almost always you'll find that they're very acid. So take somebody with cancer, somebody with heart disease or diabetes and so forth. So alkalinizing is a very central issue, and it's also a very, very important part of choosing which foods we're going to eat. So it kind of dovetails with it, the whole chapter on diet and nutrition. And it explains to people, exactly what we're talking about. Where do we want to keep the pH, the urine pH, the spit pH, because there's a difference between those two and what we're trying to accomplish. How do different foods impact? Also central to that chapter is the idea that even a food that normally would alkalinize you, like broccoli or cauliflower or any other vegetable, can cause acidification if you are sensitive to that food. And I've seen this so many times, when people, you can often see this in diabetics or hypertensives, when they eat a food that is acidifying them or that they're sensitive to, it'll spike their blood sugar or spike that blood pressure. And oftentimes that's the only clue that something is going on with their diet. So then we move on to step 3, which is adequate water intake.
That's correct.
So critical, but people often don't know what kind of water. Can they just use tap water? Do they need to filter? So I go into all of that in the book. I also talk about the most egregious toxins, poison in water that we want to get rid of, including fluoride, which is a poison, a carcinogen. And chloride and the myriad of other things, like for instance the drugs of all the people in our population that we're all drinking because none of the filtration systems that are used for city water can filter out all of the drugs that people are taking. So that's a good reason to have an excellent filtration system in your house that will take out those severe substances.
Okay, you also say exercise is important.
And the point, the bottom line, the point that I make in that chapter is, we need to all be moving. That's a critical part of getting, but we need to do stuff that we enjoy. So everybody can find something that they enjoy. For some people, that's aerobics. For other people, they hate aerobics. So they may be walkers. Others like ballroom dancing, like myself. Me and my wife love to go out and ballroom dance, and so that's something else. So I go through 9 critical steps there on how to implement a great exercise program. I don't try to make this into an exercise book, so there's other better books written out there that gives you even more detail on exercise.
Yeah, I guess the point is the fact that it's got to be enjoyable to you is the key point. You do ballroom dancing, somebody do run miles, others pedal bikes, and all those could be beneficial to meet the needs of the exercise component. It's just it varies from person to person. Your 9 points, I think, are directly right on, found in the book, folks. Heal Thyself. Next up, get enough sun. Interesting.
Yeah, that vitamin D thing.
That vitamin D thing.
Yeah, and what most people don't realize is that the vast majority of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. And it's a huge culprit in the development of all this cancer that we see and other diseases and inflammation in the blood vessels and, arthritis and diabetes and all that kind of stuff. So very, very critical to get some of that noontime sun, which most people don't. And if you don't, then you have to get some active vitamin D3 and enough D3. So, I suggest to people that they get their physicians to check a vitamin D3 level on them if they have any kind of health challenge. And then, based on that, take enough. And usually, my adult patients, I put on at least 5,000 or 10,000 units of D3 if they can't get that sunlight. But, of course, the best is sunlight. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans live in northern states where they don't get enough vertical sun even during the winter, so they are deficient even if they stand out in the sun, half of the day. So these are critical things to remember. Step 6 is enough fresh air. Very, very important to understand that, our air pollution is not just outdoors, it's also indoors. So we've got horrible air in many homes and many businesses. And a good air filtration system is good. We talked about how to do that. And we also talked about getting out into nature. Anytime you get among the trees or, woods, forests, anywhere, that is a wonderful environment because those trees out there and plants are very, very efficient at cleaning air. Even plants in your home, in your business, can make a big difference there. So step 7 is enough sleep. Sleep, most people in our society don't sleep adequately. And even if they try to be in bed for adequate amounts of time, they're not getting good quality sleep because of air, because of light pollution, because of sound pollution, because they have too many circling thoughts going through their head, brain. We talk about healing through recall. And when you have insomnia, the one question you want to ask yourself is, what is it that's keeping me awake at night? What's swirling through my brain? That is just making me not be able to sleep properly. Step 8, reduce exposure to foodborne and environmental toxins. That's a nice short little chapter, but critical to understand. It's such a common sense concept that I didn't have to expand too much on it. And then reduce EMFs. Here's another huge thing. That's step 9. The electromagnetic field pollution that we are dealing with today is absolutely astronomical, getting worse by the day. People need to know how to protect themselves. Little things like an alarm clock too close to your bed can radiate you, all night long with mammoth amounts of EMS, or that portable phone. If the station is close to your bed, boy, that can cause a lot of radiation too, and so can your cell phone or the cell towers that are arrayed all around you. You know, the closer people live to the center of cities in this country, the more they are being radiated every day by various things. We'll talk in that chapter also about microwave ovens. Step 10, detoxify or die. Key concept here is, you know, the body does get filled with poison. It's filled with toxicities, and those have to be, we have to give that a path to clearance, and that includes working on the emotion. Because interestingly enough, there's a connection between what is conflicting us and you know, the accumulation of toxins in the body and exactly where those toxins accumulate. So again, you know, whatever conflict we have, if somebody has a conflict with the nest, guess what? You know, that mercury that they get in through air or pollution or whatever will go to the breast and not just everywhere in the body as you would normally expect. So this is a fascinating issue. But there are some definitive strategies that we can employ to help the liver, the kidneys, the gut, the lymphatics, and so forth. You know, and in that chapter, I go through habits, how to reduce exposure, and how to facilitate removal.
So those
are we doing good on?
Yeah, we're doing good. It's just so skewed. The body, every one of these first 10 steps is directly related to the physiological and environmental, and these are not a surprise to any one of our listeners. I think at that point, though, things change drastically. In this final 7 steps, they are so unique, we really do need to have a word or two about each one. Step 11, you say, heal false beliefs. Now we start taking a different tack. Describe that particular element. Tell you what, folks. I thought we heard a click. I think we lost them. I think you hit a button. What we'll do is take a short break. I'll go find him again. We'll be right back in a moment. We'll finish off with Heal Thyself and those last 7 steps, so unique and so specifically coming from Pieter DeWet and no one else. Be right back.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
This Christmas season, give your friends and loved ones the gift of health with a very special gift from Fruit of the Spirit. Fruit of the Spirit combines 14 whole fruits with energizing minerals to give you great tasting, antioxidant-rich liquid nutrition with more health benefits than any other product of its kind. Take advantage of a special offer this Christmas. We will send a beautiful gift pack with a bottle of Fruit of the Spirit, portion glass, book, and brochure to each name on your shopping list for just $29. That's a bottle of Fruit of the Spirit, portion glass, book, and brochure to each name on your shopping list for just $29.
Fruit of the Spirit's gift pack is a $57 value. This Christmas season, it's yours for just $29, shipping and handling not included. Call 1-800-793-8714 with your shopping list, and Fruit of the Spirit will take care of the rest. Call now. That's 1-800-793-8714. Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith, let Food the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to AIM Impact on Your Health. We got our glitches fixed. Accidentally hit a button or two. We're back. Dr. DeWet, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. we resolved the conflict. Talking about conflicts, really the last part of your book deal with the most unique part of any book written about how to work with diseases, because it deals with the very issue of resolving those conflicts. Step 11, which we were at as we lost contact with you, talks about healing false beliefs. Now here's the part that really is all Pieter DeWet and all new in your book, Heal Thyself, Transform Your Life, Transform Your Health. Start to talk about step 11, heal false beliefs.
Yeah, it's very critical to understand this principle, because we can only be as healthy as our beliefs allow us to be. So most people don't, for instance, believe in miracles, to their own detriment, and by shifting their beliefs, they can also realize that the difference between those that are able to access miraculous and those that can't, has everything to do with beliefs. So empowering beliefs are essential to healing. Again, for instance, just simply opening up to the possibility that there's more to healing than just taking drugs makes a tremendous difference. A lot of people can't even open to that concept. So in that chapter, I go through 7, shifts that we have to make in our belief systems in order to open up to all possibilities.
Truly unique, really unique and interesting. You got to get the book, folks. Step 12, see humor in everything. See humor in everything, you say.
Yeah, we have to, keep our sense of humor. Most people don't know how to laugh anymore. They take life way too seriously. And, yet, when we look at aging, people that live into their hundreds, over what we call them centenarians of this world, they have unique characteristics in common. And so in some of my steps in my book, I took those unique characteristics, and that one of them is keeping a sense of humor, and being able to laugh at not just at others, but also being able to laugh at ourselves. In spite of our human foibles and all our challenges and the politics of the day and the religion of the day, healthy people are able to maintain their sense of humor throughout. So I go through 5 key steps there, things that we should be able to laugh at, even though they're pretty serious. Even learning to laugh at death, for example. A lot of us have a fear of death, and yet when we reach reframe what death is, then it's not so scary anymore. Step 13 is being able to come to a peace about loss. So be at peace with loss. And that's a critical chapter too, because again, when you look at people that become very old, that they have something unique in common, and that is that they sail through losses, much more easily than people that don't live very long. So that is a very, very critical step too. That's one thing that you are absolutely guaranteed of, that if you become very old in this world, you're going to lose a lot of people. Even family members, friends, colleagues, and so forth. So step 14 is live a purpose-driven life. That is so simple, and yet so many people in this world, don't have a focus. They don't even know why they want to get healthy. If you ask them, why do you want to get healthy? It's a fear-based thing. They just don't want to die. They just don't want to suffer. They don't want to have pain, but that's not a good enough reason. We have to have a phenomenally motivational reason to want to heal. Step 15, we talk about healing relationships. You can only be as healthy as the relationships that you have. So if you're in a bad marriage, very, very tough to be healthy. Or if you're divorced, there's all kinds of statistics and studies that have been done on different things that happen to people, including divorce, and so if you're alienated, embittered in your relationships, then that bodes very ill for as far as your health.
All right, tell you what, we were ready to the last two. We just won't be able to get to foster an attitude of gratitude. And 17 was what, Doctor? Nurture a direct relationship with your Creator. Interesting chapter. And then finally, on number 18, what is 18? Oh, altruism in service of life and the living. Dr. DeWet, thank you so much for coming aboard with us so often, so frequently. We'll be talking to one another. We're bringing you back. We may even be bringing you to Pittsburgh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
I would love that. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
So long now. See you on Friday. Bye.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
KHB reminds you, children are naturally curious, so follow their lead. When you talk to your child, you build vocabulary. Learning starts before school does. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org.
Are you starting to creak like an old barn door? Seem to have lost the flexibility you once had in your younger days? Are arthritis or sports injuries taking its toll, making you feel old before your time and you can't do the things you used to do? Arthriattack, a powerful joint product designed to restore the youth and vigor that you assume has been lost forever. It's time to quit singing the country blues and look forward to a pain-free future with this powerful product that would even make your horse feel better. We live in a time where we are not getting the nutrients from our food to properly rebuild our bodies. Supplementation through advanced technology is making the difference. Proven ingredients,